Very often we want to add more and more detail to our pictures in order to make them look better. But is that the truth? Do we need to add lots of detail to make our picture look really good? Should those details be everywhere in the picture? That is what this video is about. Every painting requires a huge level of figuring out how to represent lots of detail. When you draw from imagination, you are limited by it. But when you draw from reference, all those details pop up right in front of your face. It may be really overwhelming if you don't know how to see them correctly and to represent them with a minimum effort. It is the mark of a good artist to make complex things look simple, and even more importantly, make complex things in the simplest possible way with the least amount of steps. But the question is, how do I simplify a reference that contains lots of detail? Every painting, no matter how figurative or photorealistic you want it to be, will always have an abstract component. Following every detail will normally lead to a confusing picture in which you can't find the focal point. The focal point is the area that you consciously decide to emphasize in your picture or composition. Adding detail everywhere will cause that finding that focal point becomes difficult. That is the first point. Not every detail is worth it. Very often, the way to draw more is actually to draw less. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's the truth. You always filter reality through your eyes, your mind, your likes and dislikes, everything you have learned. And then you represent it to your skill level. There is a lot going on to include more stress to this already complex process. Drawing a lot of details trying to copy every detail can be a very frustrating process and often not the most efficient one. So, do you want to draw all the details? Well, you should. But you should draw them in a way that only the most important details bloom. Make your focal point the area with the most contrast, highlights and deep darks. The most amount of sharp edges in contrast to soft edges. If there is color, the most saturated colors are normally in this area. The same with movement, and highly appealing shapes go here. As we get away from this focal point, the quantity and quality of the details tend to fade gradually. At some point, these sharp details in the original picture become mostly blurred spots. A lot of the contrast is gone. Colors become grayer with less value distance among themselves. You are in charge of guiding the viewer through the picture. Feel free to turn the surrounding areas into an abstract painting. Experiment with soft values, creative brushstrokes. To summarize, put most of your effort in your focal point. Put everything you know right there. All those areas emphasize the idea of this focal point, but we don't want them to steal the attention from this point. So include details in here as spots, doodles. Use tools to soften them if you need to. Use all your abstraction tools to infer how much you can disregard other areas in the picture or wish to show more than others. You could compare this process to cooking. To cook a steak, you won't put the same amount of meat that you put salt or pepper. It would be uneatable. Instead, you put the meat and a sprinkle of salt and pepper. You won't notice them much, but they enhance the flavor, leaving the steak as the main part. I hope this video was useful for you and that you can include this into your process. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, share it to somebody that can find this information useful. See you in the next video. Adios.